Since 2005, I've been on this unpredictable and winding journey towards discovering more about life, about the truth, about how things work, why we're here, what's next, and really how to survive and thrive in this experience. Without planning, I ended up getting fixated on understanding the inner workings of the grand structure. Because it's one thing to understand yourself, your soul, your mind, your body, existence, the divinity of life, and what it is to be in the human experience. But it's yet a completely different thing to understand how all of us interact with each other in this theoretical, physical, tangible world in which we all interact daily and with one another. And the deeper I go and the more that I see, the more I realize how little I actually know. And at times it can feel very helpless because you feel like the more research that you do, the more effort that you put into it, the more energy you invest into this, the more helpless it kind of makes you seem, because you see how all of these different structures and pieces and places have been set up, instructed, orchestrated, and placed in just the right spots since well before you were alive, and in theory can be moved and manipulated well beyond after you complete this human experience. And the further in that I go, the more I realize that A, not everybody has the time, B, not everybody has the capacity, and C, not everybody wants to see. If you look at the movies like The Matrix, for example, not everybody wants to take that pill. Some people just don't. And the fact that I have that inclination or feel like I want to go down that path, in a way makes me feel unique. Not unique in totality versus all others, but unique in the sense that it's not like all other people. And what I have come to realize can be summarized by this quote, which is not my own. A man who wants to lead the orchestra must face his back to the crowd. Doing something different, thinking differently, acting differently, discovering something that has significance, being a part of something greater than oneself is challenging. It is an uphill battle. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm holier than thou, like I've done something or I know something that you don't know. But what I have come to realize is that this journey, the seeking of the depth, it certainly is, to try to find the right word, it's lonely in the sense that most people don't go there. Most people don't want to go there. And if you choose to do so, if you choose to be one of the few, it is taxing. And though I think it's hard for anybody, including myself, to grasp and fully understand the significance of what has been going on lately, I think what's probably the most interesting aspect about it is that what I want to tell you, I can't tell you here. And if that is not just in and of itself an indicator that there is something else, I don't know what else is. And though I don't expect you to understand or see or agree with what I am doing and what many others are doing, I do believe that people that look in this direction, people that seek this out, are truly doing something that has purpose, or at the very least they feel has purpose, and they feel a call or are drawn to it for something that is instinctive, something that they believe to be greater than themselves. And it certainly is not for any other reason than that. One thing that I can tell you for sure is that the more I keep my eyes open, the more that I'm willing to be a sponge, the more that I'm willing to say, look, I'm going to go into something that I don't know, and I'm going to go there despite the fear, despite the not knowing, despite the unknown. On the other side of that is great discovery. When I went to the place this week, and I went to the thing, and I saw the stuff that you saw, what I can tell you is that what you see, if you weren't there, you don't have that perspective. You don't have the capacity to understand the instinctive nature of what happens when you are physically in a place. And if you take 15 years of research, and you take 14 hours in the car of researching on the way up, and 14 hours in the car on the way down researching, and you take 4 days being in the mix, critically thinking, a lifetime of experience, and just going in completely open and wide-eyed to what could be, what potentially may or may not be, it blows your entire mind frame as to what this stuff is. So all I have to say is to all those people that are choosing to weigh in that were not there, you don't know. And I didn't know, and I wouldn't have known had I not been. And that doesn't mean I know everything, but it's more than not being there. All I would encourage anybody to do, because I don't know any more than you do, all I know is that I've been putting in a lot of research, and I've been doing my absolute best to what I believe is a calling far greater than myself. And you can disparage it, you can look down on it, you can say that I'm X, Y, or Z, and I don't care. Because if you had the same instinctual passion like a person like me and so many other people that I saw that day have, you would understand that if this was you, you would do the same thing. The only message is to encourage you to continue doing more research, have patience, focusing on yourself, and making sure that you take care of yourself, which I am trying to do as well. And understand that all of those things that you instinctively know, if you can critically think, if you can be rational, and if you can stay open and awake and researched and to the pulse over time, consistent and caring about it, deep within your soul, you start to see things and you start to realize things that you maybe thought that you never could realize. And such is the growth, such is the realization, such is the power that all of us have. That is the journey that I currently am trying to take and am on, and there's so many others. I am not unique in that. So I would just encourage you to use critical thinking. Take a look at the things that are the anomalies. There are no coincidences. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what's next. All I have to say is look at what is happening with saying things. Look at what is happening with turning on people. Look at what is happening with the hypocrisy. Look at what is happening with what about this, but now this is going to be treated completely different. If you can just be acutely aware of what is happening and watching it unfold in real time, it becomes clearer as each passing moment goes. And even though you are mired with confusion like I find myself, you start to get closer to the truth. Think about how if you were in a place at a very significant time and a very simple thing could be the linchpin that causes some other thing, some other very significant thing to not occur, how significant that would be in and of itself for that to go down in the way that you need to. If you could only just simply focus on the one thing that mattered, all the rest would be irrelevant. So on this journey, although I encourage you to listen to as many voices as you can, try to focus on your own instinct, your own intellect, your own ability to critically think. Think about a place that would be so protected. How could it be? How could it be that way? How could it go down like that? How could it roll out in such a way? Could that just happen on its own, by mistake? There are no coincidences. There are no coincidences, okay? Do what you want and say what you will and take this message however you feel, however you see fit. But all I can tell you is the following. If you knew me before I started to make these videos and you've drawn a conclusion about me or who I am or what I represent, and that causes you to look the other direction and not think about who I am as a person, I guess I didn't need you in the first place. Go ahead, hate on it. That's fine. But if you understood what I think that I understand about my journey, I think that you would treat me a little bit differently. And sadly, this simple, discouraging fact is what keeps most people away from doing this, thinking this, going there, trying to elevate to something else, to something greater, to a cause, to a purpose. And I don't care if you see it, because I see it. And that's really the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And I am not alone in that belief. I'm not alone in that feeling. And I am not alone in that recourse, that impact, that recoil for that action. And that simple thing alone, that simple tribal nature of the inclusion and the desire for inclusion and the not to ostracize oneself from the main is what keeps most people away from even looking in this direction. And that is the single problem that I am seeing with my own two eyes as why I have to. And it's like, look, I'm not trying to be out here and sacrifice myself. That's not what it's about. But what it is about is if you have the capacity and you choose to not explore it, I don't know what else there is. Like, we could bury our heads in the sand. And I'm not saying that you have to do what I'm doing. And what am I even doing? I don't know. You can draw that conclusion for yourself, because ultimately I know deep in my heart how I'm thinking about this, what I'm doing about this, and what moves I'm deciding to make on this journey of life. And the only person that has to sleep with it at the end of the day is me. But what I was invigorated with these last few days is the simple fact that that flag flies high. And I am not alone in my reverence, respect, and significance for what it represents, and to the republic for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.